Megan lay back on the stretcher as the ship flew higher above the jungle. She felt the pain in every part of her body, but she also felt peace. The cool air of the med bay felt good after the hot, sticky jungle. Nick, Laura, and Ben sat nearby, their faces tired but relieved. The ship's medics checked Megan's wounds. One cleaned her cuts, another gave her a pain shot. Megan closed her eyes and tried to rest, but memories of the fight with Garash and the Scarrow still played in her mind. As the ship sped toward the human base, Nick looked over at Megan and smiled. "You did it," he said softly. "I knew you would." Megan tried to smile back. Couldn't let those aliens think we're easy prey. Laura handed Megan a cup of water. Megan drank it slowly, each sip helping her feel a little stronger. Ben sat at her feet, watching the door, just in case there was more danger. The ship landed with a soft bump at the human outpost. Soldiers ran out to meet them, helping Megan and her team down the ramp. Megan walked with her arm around Ben's shoulder. The medics wanted her to use a stretcher, but Megan shook her head. "I can walk," she said. "I need to see everyone safe." Nick and Laura followed close behind. Inside the outpost, the commander waited. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He looked at Megan's torn uniform and bloody arms. "Heard you had some trouble out there, Carter," he said. Megan just nodded. "The Scarrow ambushed us. They're strong, but not unstoppable." The commander smiled. "A rare sight. We saw the scans from your helmet. You fought well. The whole base is talking about it." Megan let herself sit down as the medics finished bandaging her side. She listened as Nick explained what happened. "She took on their leader," Nick said. "Broke his jaw. They ran away." The commander raised his eyebrows. "You broke a Scarrow's jaw?" Megan looked down at her hands. "He was wasting my time. I just wanted to get my team out." The room was quiet for a moment, then everyone laughed. Later, when the medics finally let her rest, Megan thought about the Scarrow. She wondered if Garash would ever come after her again. She pictured him holding his broken jaw, glaring with those yellow eyes. Megan knew the Scarrow would remember her, and maybe next time they would think twice before attacking humans. While Megan recovered, Nick, Laura, and Ben sat with her. They talked about everything that happened. Laura told Megan how scared they were when she was missing. Ben explained how they followed her blood marks through the trees. Nick shook his head, still amazed. "You saved all of us, Megan," he said. "We'd never have made it out without you." Megan smiled, but her eyes were tired. "We're a team. I couldn't let you down." Word spread fast through the outposts. Soon, everyone wanted to see the human who beat the Scarrow. Soldiers from other squads visited the med bay, shaking Megan's hand or leaving her small gifts, energy bars, books, even a stuffed animal from someone's kid. Megan thanked them all, but tried not to make a big deal out of it. She just wanted to get back to work. The next day, the commander came to see her again. He carried a small medal in his hand. "For bravery and courage," he said. Megan shook her head. "I just did what I had to do." The commander smiled and pinned a medal to her shirt. "That's what makes you a hero, Carter." Megan looked at the medal, then at her friends. "I'd rather have a hot shower," she joked. Everyone laughed again. Meanwhile, the Scarrow pack was back in the jungle. They moved slowly, carrying Garash on a stretcher made of branches and leaves. The other Scarrow whispered to each other. They had never seen their leader defeated. Garash did not speak. His jaw was swollen and purple. He glared at the ground, angry and ashamed. One of the younger Scarrows spoke quietly. "Humans are not weak." That one fought like a true warrior. Another nodded. "We should not have paused the fight. She was dangerous the whole time." The Scarrow learned to respect humans that night. Garash would never forget the pain or the shame of losing to someone so small. At the human outpost, Megan got stronger every day. She walked the halls with her team, telling stories and making new friends. Other squads asked for her advice. Some even wanted her to teach them her tricks. Megan laughed. "Just stay stubborn," she said. "Don't let the enemy see you're scared." Nick, Laura, and Ben stayed close to Megan. They felt proud to be part of her team. At meals, they sat together and talked about what they would do when they finally went home. Ben wanted a big burger. Laura wanted to see her dog. Nick just wanted to sleep for a week. One afternoon, a group of alien diplomats arrived at the base. They had heard rumors about the fight. The head diplomat, tall and dressed in shining silver, asked to see Megan. She met them in the main hall, wearing her clean uniform and the medal pinned to her chest. The diplomat bowed politely. "Your story is spreading across the galaxy," he said. "Many thought humans were fragile. Now, even the scarrows speak your name." Megan felt her cheeks turn red. "I only did what I had to. My team comes first." The diplomat smiled. "It is the mark of a true leader." He gave her a small badge with a blue star, a sign of respect from his people. After the diplomats left, Megan sat outside the outpost, looking up at the stars. The night was quiet. She thought about the jungle, the fight, and her friends. She touched the medal on her chest and smiled. She remembered her father's words, "Never give up, no matter how bad it gets." Nick joined her outside, thinking about going back out there. He teased. Megan laughed softly. "Not for a while. But if the scarrow ever show up again, I'll be ready." Nick nodded. "They won't forget you, Megan. None of us will." Megan looked up at the stars again. Let them remember. Maybe next time, they'll try talking before fighting. Laura and Ben soon joined them, and the four friends sat together under the night sky. They joked about scarrow jaws and told old stories. For the first time in days, they felt safe and at peace. Inside the outpost, soldiers talked about Megan's fight. Some called her a legend. Others just called her a friend. Everyone agreed that the scarrow would think twice before fighting humans again. Megan knew her body would heal, but her spirit was already strong. She was ready for whatever came next. And as she looked at her friends, she knew they would always have each other's backs, no matter what dangers the galaxy held. Garash growled as he pulled himself up from the ground. The scarrow leader's jaw hurt from Megan's last attack. He tasted blood in his mouth, but did not let his pack see his pain. The other scarrows stared at Megan, confused and a little afraid. No human had ever stood up to them like this. Megan's face was pale, and her arms were shaking, but she would not back down. Megan held the heavy scarrow blade in both hands. She was breathing hard and sweat dripped down her neck. Her vision blurred for a moment, but she blinked it away. She could hear her heart pounding. She told herself to focus. If she wanted to survive, she needed to finish this fight. Garash spat on the ground and spoke to his warriors. "She is just a human. Watch me break her." He stepped toward Megan, moving slow but steady. Megan moved her feet, circling him, the way her trainers taught her. She knew she could not match his strength, so she would use speed. The jungle was silent, except for the sounds of their breathing and the far-off call of alien birds. Somewhere behind the thick trees, Nick, Laura, and Ben watched. They wanted to help, but they knew Megan wanted them to stay back. This was her fight. Garash swung at Megan with his huge arm. Megan dodged, but not fast enough. The edge of his armored hand caught her shoulder, sending her spinning to the ground. She groaned and forced herself back up. She would not stay down. Not now. Garash laughed. "You are weak. Why do you keep fighting?" Megan wiped blood from her mouth. "Because you keep underestimating me." Garash lunged again. Megan jumped to the side, then swung the squirrel blade. The blade hit Garash's side, making him grunt in pain. He turned quickly, swinging his arm again. Megan ducked, the blow passing just over her head. She tried to stab at his leg, but he blocked her with his thick arm. He grabbed her by the arm and squeezed, making her gasp. Garash leaned in close. "Humans break easy." Megan stared at him, refusing to look away. Not this one. She twisted and slammed her foot into Garash's knee. He roared and let her go. Megan rolled away, grabbing her knife from the ground. She stood up, both weapons in her hands now. Garash came at her again, faster this time. They circled each other, both looking for an opening. Megan remembered her mother's words, wait for the right moment. She let Garash come closer then. Slashed with her knife. She cut his arm, leaving a deep mark. Garash howled in anger and tried to grab her again, but Megan slipped out of his reach. Her arm hurt, her whole body felt heavy, but Megan kept moving. She dodged another blow, then stabbed at Garash's side. The blade bounced off his armor. Garash grabbed her wrist and squeezed. Megan almost dropped her weapon, but with her other hand, she punched him hard in the face. There was a loud crack as Megan's fist hit Garash's jaw. Garash staggered back, shock on his face. The other scarab gasped. Garash reached up and touched his jaw, blood running from the corner of his mouth. He tried to speak, but his jaw would not move right. Megan stood tall, chest heaving, eyes fixed on Garash. Told you, don't waste my time. The scarab pack hesitated. They had never seen their leader beaten by a human. Some of them stepped back, not sure what to do. Garash glared at Megan, but he could not hide the pain in his eyes. Nick, Laura. And Ben moved closer now. Nick whispered, "She did it." She beat him. Laura stared in disbelief. Ben grinned, pride filling his face. Megan saw her team and gave them a tired nod. Garash tried to attack one more time, but he was slower now. Megan dodged easily and knocked him down with a kick to his leg. Garash fell to the ground, growling in pain. The other scarab looked at each other, confused. Their leader had never lost before. Megan pointed her blade at the scarab pack. Anyone else want to try? None of them moved. They lowered their heads, backing away slowly. Megan stood over Garash, making sure they saw she was not afraid. Nick, Laura, and Ben rushed over to Megan. Laura grabbed her and hugged her tight. "You're alive," she said, voice shaking. Ben handed Megan a water bottle. "You're the toughest person I know." Nick smiled and said, "Let's get out of here before they change their minds." Megan nodded, feeling her legs go weak. She leaned on Ben for support. Laura helped bandage her arm again. Megan's face was pale, but she kept her eyes on the scarab pack. Garash struggled to his feet, holding his broken jaw. He tried to speak, but only a low growl came out. The scarab pack began to back away, lifting their wounded leader. They carried Garash into the shadows, leaving Megan and her team alone in the clearing. Megan breathed out slowly, relief washing over her. She looked at her team. "We have to move. They might come back." Nick nodded. "Extraction point is 2 kilometers east. Can you walk?" Megan nodded. "I'll manage." She glanced at her bloody hands and torn shirt. "Just need a nap after this." Ben grinned. "You can sleep on the ship. Let's go." The team moved quickly, helping Megan when she stumbled. Laura kept watch behind them, just in case the scarab changed their minds. They followed Megan's earlier marks through the jungle, staying quiet and careful. As they walked, Megan tried to stay awake. She felt every ache and bruise, but she would not let herself rest yet. Nick offered her a protein bar. She took a bite, grateful for the taste of something normal. They moved through the thick jungle, keeping away from the places where the scarab might be waiting. The air was still and heavy, but the danger felt less now that Garash was gone. The team did not talk much. They were too tired and too focused on getting out alive. After a while, the jungle began to thin out. Megan saw the faint lights of the extraction ship in the distance. Relief filled her heart. They were almost safe. Before they left the jungle, Megan stopped and looked back. She saw the scarab pack in the shadows, watching them go. Garash held his broken jaw and glare, but did not follow. Megan raised her hand in a small wave, a sign that the fight was over. For now, Nick, Laura, and Ben led her to the ship. The doors opened, and medics rushed to help Megan. She smiled weakly at her team. "Told you I'd make it," Nick laughed. "You always do." The ship lifted off, leaving the strange jungle behind. Megan closed her eyes, feeling safe for the first time in days. She knew she would have scars, but she did not care. She was alive. Her team was alive. And somewhere deep in the jungle, the Scarrow would remember the human who broke their leader's jaw and refused to give up no matter what. The Scarrow leader, Garash, grew more angry as the night passed. He could not believe that a single human was causing so much trouble. His pack had lost 3 hunters now. One limped, one had a broken arm, and the third nursed a long cut on his leg. None of them wanted to admit that they were afraid of the human. Garash called his warriors together and spoke in a low voice. "This ends tonight. We hunt together. We will surround her and finish this. No more mistakes." The other Scarrow nodded. They started moving as a group, spreading out in a wide circle. Garash led from the front, his big hands ready to crush anything in his way. Megan watched them from her hiding place. She could see Garash's glowing eyes and the sharp line of his jaw in the moonlight. She knew this would be the hardest fight. Yet Megan moved slowly, careful not to make noise. She looked for any chance to escape, but found none. The Scarrow had learned her tricks. They checked every bush, every root, and every fallen log. She had to change her plan. If she kept running, they would catch her. She needed to fight back, but she was tired and her wounds still hurt. She remembered something her mother had told her. When you feel cornered, become the hunter. Megan gripped her knife tighter. She decided to turn and fight instead of running. She waited in the dark, her body pressed flat against a thick tree root. One Scarrow came close, sniffing the air. Megan held her breath. When the Scarrow reached down, she struck, cutting its leg with her knife and then rolling away. The Scarrow shouted and fell, dropping its weapon. Megan picked it up and ran deeper into the jungle. Garash roared, angry at the loss of another hunter. He shouted orders in the Scarrow language. The other hunters closed in, but Megan kept moving, using the jungle to hide. She set another trap, stretching a vine across a narrow path. One Scarrow ran into it and fell, twisting his ankle. Megan saw the chance to take a weapon. She grabbed the fallen Scarrow's blade. It was heavy, made for large hands, but she could hold it with both hands. Now she had 2 weapons, a knife and an alien blade. She felt stronger. She was tired but not beaten. In the distance, Nick, Laura, and Ben followed her blood marks. They saw the signs that Megan was still alive. Nick whispered, "She's fighting back. She's given us a path." Laura was worried. "She can't keep going like this. She needs help." Ben wanted to rush in, but Nick stopped him. "If we attack now, we'll give away our position. We wait until she leads the Scarrow away." Back in the jungle, Megan heard the Scarrow talking. "She is a ghost," said one. "She fights like she has nothing to lose." Garash snarled, "She has pride. We will break it." Megan smiled to herself. She wanted them to be afraid. Garash moved closer, leading his pack straight to Megan's hiding place. Megan had to act fast. She used the alien blade to smash a glowing plant. The sudden flash of blue light blinded the Scarrow for a moment. Megan jumped out, attacking the nearest hunter with her knife. She caught him across the arm, then ducked as another Scarrow swung at her. The jungle was chaos. Megan moved fast, always, staying low. She used a heavy alien blade to block a Scarrow's attack, then kicked mud into his eyes. The other hunter stumbled, blinded by the glowing sap from the broken plant. Garash roared and grabbed for Megan, but she slipped away, leaving him with only a torn piece of her shirt. Megan was hurt again, a cut on her side bleeding slowly. But she kept moving, desperate to get away. She saw her team in the distance, hiding behind a rock. Nick waved at her, signaling for her to come to them. Megan shook her head. She could not risk leading the Scarrow to her friends. Arash saw Megan pause and rushed at her. He tackled her to the ground. Megan fought with everything she had. She stabbed at his armor, looking for weak spots. Garash was strong. He hit her hard, knocking the knife from her hand. Megan gasped, struggling to breathe. The Scarrow pack surrounded her. They all watched as Garash picked Megan up and slammed her to the ground again. Megan's head spun. She could barely see. The Scarrows started to talk among themselves. "She must be dead now," said one. "No human could survive that." But Megan heard their words. Even through the pain, she could hear them. She remembered what her father used to say, "Never let the enemy think you are beaten." She spit out blood and looked Garash right in the eyes. Garash stared back, surprised to see her awake. He spoke in English. "Why do you not give up?" Megan gritted her teeth. "Because I have something worth fighting for." Garash was angry. He hit her again, but Megan would not stay down. She pushed herself up, her arms shaking. The other Scarrow backed away, afraid of her spirit. Garash tried to grab her, but Megan ducked under his arm and punched him in the side with all her strength. He grunted, surprised by the force. Nick, Laura, and Ben saw everything from their hiding place. Laura whispered, "She's still fighting. We have to help." Nick nodded. Wait for the right moment. The Scarrow were confused. They did not understand why Megan was still alive. Garash shouted, "Why won't you die? You are alone. You are weak." Megan shook her head. "I'm not alone. My friends are with me. My family is with me. My will is stronger than your claws." Garash roared in anger and rushed at her again. Megan picked up the alien blade and faced him. They fought in the moonlight, Megan using speed and clever moves, Garash using his size and strength. The fight was hard. Megan got hit again, falling to the ground. Garash thought she was finished. He turned to his pack, speaking in his own language. "It is over. The human is done." Megan listened. She felt her anger burn bright inside her. She forced herself to her feet. Blood ran down her face. She wiped it away and shouted in both English and Scarrow tongue, "Coward! Is that all you can do? I thought Scarrow were strong." The Scarrow pack stopped. They stared at her, shocked by her words. Even Garash was surprised. Megan stood tall, breathing hard but not backing down. Nick, Laura, and Ben took this moment to move closer, staying low and out of sight. They watched as Megan faced Garash with nothing but the alien blade. Megan's courage gave her strength. She circled Garash, waiting for him to attack. The other Scarrow watched, some looking nervous. Megan knew she had to end this fight. She had to show them that humans were not weak. Garash rushed at her one last time. Megan dodged his attack, then struck him with the blade. Garash howled in pain, falling to his knees. Megan looked at the other Scarrow. "Tell your kind. Humans, do not quit. We fight until the end." The Scarrow lowered their heads, afraid to meet her eyes. Megan stood tall, ready for whatever would come next. She did not know if she would survive, but she would not give. Megan crawled slowly through the cold mud. Her whole body hurt, but she did not let herself stop. She knew the Scarrow were still looking for her. Every time she heard a branch break or leaves rustle, her heart jumped. She tried to stay as low as she could. The jungle was thick with fog and strange blue lights from the plants. She could hardly see more than a few meters in front of her. She listened carefully. The Scarrows spoke in their own language, voices sharp and angry. They were angry because she had hurt some of them. Megan heard Garash, the leader, give orders. He was proud and wanted to catch her himself. Megan knew that as long as she kept moving, she had a chance. She checked her arm. The bleeding had slowed, but she still felt weak. She used her bandage again, tying it tight. Her hand shook as she did it, but she told herself not to be afraid. She remembered the time on Earth when she fell during a long race. Her mother's voice came back in her mind. "Get up, Megan. Even when you are tired. Even when you hurt. Get up. Megan smiled a little. She was not alone in the jungle. She had her memories. She had her will to live. She started moving again, careful not to make noise. She saw a thick tree with wide roots and decided to hide for a moment. She pressed herself against the tree and listened. A scarab walked close, sniffing the air. Megan stayed so still that even the bugs crawling on her arm did not move. The scarab passed by. Megan let out a slow breath. She heard the cum click in her ear. A voice, faint and crackly, whispered, "Megan! Megan, are you there?" It was Nick. Megan's heart beat faster. She wanted to answer, but she was too close to the scarab. Instead, she tapped her cum twice, hoping Nick would hear the sound. On the other side, Nick and Laura were listening, hiding behind a rock. Laura grabbed Nick's arm. "That's her. She's alive." Nick felt a wave of relief. Ben smiled for the first time since they ran. The three friends looked around and saw more blood marks on the trees. They knew Megan was trying to guide them. Nick whispered, "We need to go. She's leading us somewhere." They followed the marks, careful not to make noise. Back in the jungle, Megan looked for ways to slow down the scarab. She found a long vine and tied it between two small trees. Then she covered it with leaves. She remembered how, as a child, she used to set little traps for her younger brother. This was not much different. If the scarab hit the vine, they would fall and make noise. She moved deeper into the jungle. The air was cold and wet. Her stomach rumbled, but she had no food left. She found a puddle and drank a little water, just enough to wet her mouth. She heard the scarab coming closer. One of them shouted, then suddenly cried out in pain. Megan smiled. Her trap had worked. She kept moving. She looked up at the sky. The sun was rising, but the thick jungle made it feel like night. She wiped sweat from her face, careful not to smear blood. She did not want the scarab to follow her too easily. The scarab leader Garash was getting angrier. He had lost 2 hunters to the humans' tricks. He gathered the pack and spoke to them in his deep voice. "She is smart. She is not like other humans. We must work together to catch her." The other scarab nodded. They started hunting in pairs, hoping to trap Megan between them. Megan heard their plan and knew she had to be more careful. As she moved, Megan saw a strange plant with big blue leaves. She remembered her training. Some jungle plants were dangerous. Others could help heal wounds. She tore off a small piece and chewed it. The bitter taste made her gag, but soon her arm felt a little less painful. She heard Nick's voice on the cum again, just a little stronger this time. "Megan, where are you?" "We're following your marks." Megan smiled and tapped her cum again. She wanted to tell her team not to come closer, but she knew they would not listen. They were loyal, just like her. Suddenly, a scarab jumped out from behind a tree. Megan was ready. She swung her spear and hit the scarab in the chest. The armor protected him, but the blow knocked him back. Megan turned and ran. The scarab chased her, but she was faster. She zigzagged between trees, making it hard for him to catch her. She stopped behind a big rock and waited. The scarab came closer, looking around. Megan threw a handful of mud into his eyes, then ran past him. She could hear him shouting behind her, angry and surprised. She moved quickly, trying to get back to her team. She thought about Nick, Laura, and Ben. They had always worked well together. Back on Earth, they trained together every day. They trusted each other with their lives. Megan reached a small clearing. She could see 3 scarab ahead, searching the ground for tracks. She hid in the tall grass, watching them. She saw a sharp stone nearby. She picked it up and threw it far to the right. The noise made the scarab turn and walk that way. Megan slipped past them, moving as quietly as she could. She found another blood mark on a tree. She marked another tree with her own blood, then moved on. She wanted her team to know she was close. Nick, Laura, and Ben followed the trail. Ben whispered, "Do you think she's hurt bad?" Laura shook her head. "Megan never quits. She'll be okay." Nick looked ahead, his face serious. We keep moving. We owe her that much. The jungle grew thicker and the plants taller. Megan pushed through the vines, feeling her arm throb. She stopped to rest behind another tree, her breathing heavy. She remembered her father's voice. You're stronger than you think. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. A scarrow pair passed nearby. Megan waited until they were gone. She heard them talking about her. This human fights like a beast, one said. I have never seen such will. The other replied, Our leader says she must die, or we will lose face among the other packs. Megan smiled even though she was tired. If the scarrow respected her, maybe they would think twice before hunting humans again. Suddenly, Megan heard her come. Nick's voice was clearer now. Megan, if you hear this, we're close. We're coming. Megan pressed to come and whispered, Not safe. Too many scarrow. Stay back. She hoped they understood. She did not want her friends to be caught too. The scarrow kept searching. Megan watched them from her hiding place. She waited for a chance to move. When the pack turned away, she slipped out and headed toward the edge of the jungle. She found a spot where the ground dipped low. She crouched there, hiding behind thick ferns. She checked her knife and spear, making sure she was ready to fight if needed. Night began to fall again. The jungle grew quiet. Megan felt alone, but she was not afraid. She listened to the sounds around her, the chirps of strange birds, the wind in the leaves, the distant calls of scarrow hunters. She thought about her team, hoping they were safe. She promised herself that she would survive. She would not let the scarrow win. Megan closed her eyes for a moment, gathering her strength. She felt her wounds aching, but she did not let it stop her. She thought about all the people waiting for her to come home. She would not give up, no. The scarrow leader Garash growled at his warriors. He did not like that the human was still missing. She was only one small person, but she had hurt two of his best hunters. Garash told the pack to circle around where the human was last seen. He would not let her escape again. The scarrow warriors nodded and spread out, moving silently between the thick trees and strange glowing plants. Megan hid behind the tangled roots of a giant tree. Her arm throbbed from the wound, but she kept her breathing slow and steady. She listened for the sounds of the scarrow. She heard their heavy feet and the low clicks they used to talk to each other. They were close, but she stayed hidden, pressing. Her body flat against the mud dot, she thought about her team. Nick, Laura, and Ben must have gotten away. She hoped they were safe. Megan touched her cum and tried to speak. Nick, Laura, Ben, do you copy? Static answered her, but she tried again. Maybe her voice would reach them. Maybe not. Nick, Laura, and Ben were not far. They ran through the jungle, their lungs burning. They did not want to leave Megan behind. Nick wanted to turn back, but Laura stopped him. She said to run. She'll find a way out. Megan always does. Ben nodded, but he was scared for their leader. He remembered stories about Megan. She was tough and never gave up, but this was different. These were scarrow, the best hunters in the galaxy. Back in the jungle, Megan's mind raced. She knew the scarrow thought she was hurt too badly to fight. That gave her a chance. She reached into her small medical pack and pulled out a bandage. With shaky hands, she wrapped it around her arm to stop the bleeding. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. The pain was sharp, but it made her feel strong. She was still alive. The scarrow were close now. One of them poked at the roots with a spear, looking for her. Megan lay still, barely breathing. She remembered her training. When hunted, wait for the moment when the hunter grows bored. Only then should you move. She let her eyes close for just a second, thinking back to her first training mission on Earth. She was only 17, but she had already learned to be brave. Her mother used to take her into the woods and teach her how to stay quiet and invisible. Megan smiled at the memory. Her mother always said, if they can't find you, they can't hurt you. A scarrow voice snapped her back to the present. She's close, said one of the hunters, sniffing the air. I can smell her blood. Another scarrow laughed. Humans are weak. Their blood smells like fear. The leader Garash told the others to check the roots. If she is alive, I want her, he said in a cold voice. One scarrow crawled closer, poking the roots with the end of a spear. Megan felt the wood press against her back. She knew it was time. She kept her eyes closed and let her body go limp, like she had fainted. The scarrow leaned down, pressing his heavy hand against her shoulder. Megan stayed still. She is dead, the scarrow said. No more fight in this one. Garash stepped forward. He looked at Megan and nodded. Bring her body. We will show the others how weak these humans are. The scarrow reached down to grab her. As soon as he touched her arm, Megan's eyes snapped open. She grabbed his wrist and twisted as hard as she could. The scarrow shouted in pain, dropping his spear. Megan rolled away, snatching up the fallen weapon. She jabbed it at the nearest alien, hitting him in the leg. He howled and fell back, thought the scarrow pack growled in anger. Megan did not wait for them to attack. She ran into the mist, ducking under low branches and jumping over roots. The scarrow chased her, but Megan was fast. Her heart pounded as she weaved between trees, trying to lose her hunters. Garash shouted orders. Split up! Circle around! Don't let her get away! The scarrow moved in pairs, trying to trap Megan, but she remembered her mother's tricks. She kicked mud onto her trail, making it harder to follow. She broke branches in two directions to confuse them. Behind her, Megan heard the scarrow getting closer. She looked for a place to hide. There was a fallen tree ahead. She slid underneath, pressing her body flat to the ground. The scarrow ran past her. Not seeing her in the dark dot, Megan caught her breath. Her arm was bleeding again, and she felt weak. She took a deep breath and told herself to keep moving. She thought about her team. She could not let them down. She could not give up now that far away. Nick, Laura, and Ben argued about what to do next. Nick wanted to find Megan, but Laura said it was too risky. If we get caught, we can't help her, Laura said. Ben agreed. We should get to the rendezvous point and wait for her. She'll find us. Megan crawled from under the tree. She saw a mark on her wrist blood, bright red in the strange blue light of the jungle. She had an idea. She broke a small branch and dipped it in her blood, marking the trees as she moved. It was a silent signal to her team. If they saw the blood marks, they would know she was alive. The scarrow pack slowed down, confused by the missing trail. Garash sniffed the air and snarled. She is smart. She hides well, but she cannot run forever. Megan heard Garash's voice in the distance. She kept moving, careful and quiet. She remembered more from her old life running track at school, learning to breathe steady, saving her energy for the final sprint. She smiled to herself, thinking of how strange it was that those simple lessons might save her life now. She found a place to rest, behind a thick wall of vines. She used her knife to cut a strip of her shirt and pressed it to her arm. She drank a little water from her canteen, wishing she had more. She missed her team. She wondered if she would ever see them again. The scarrow did not give up. They hunted her through the night, using their sharp eyes and strong noses to look for her, but Megan kept moving. She set small traps with vines and branches. Once, a scarrow stepped in one and fell, giving her more time to run. Nick, Laura, and Ben finally saw a tree marked with blood. Nick knelt beside it. She's alive, he whispered. She's trying to tell us where she is. Laura smiled for the first time in hours. We have to help her, she said. Ben nodded, hope growing in his chest. They followed the blood marks, moving quickly but quietly. Back in the jungle, Megan saw the scarrow slow down. She heard them talking in their strange language. They sounded frustrated. Garash shouted at them, angry that one small human could cause so much trouble. Megan crouched in the shadows, watching as the scarrow gathered to talk. She heard Garash say, "We will find her. She will not escape. When she is dead, all humans will fear us." Megan felt her anger rise. She was tired, hurt, and hungry, but she would not let them win. She gripped her knife and got ready for what came next. She would fight as long as she could. She would not be afraid. Megan Carter moved quietly through the thick jungle, her boots sinking into the soft mud with every step. Her team followed close behind. Nick walked on her left, holding his rifle tight. Laura moved on the right, scanning the trees for any sign of movement. Ben took up the rear, glancing over his shoulder every few seconds. The jungle was strange, with huge plants that glowed in the darkness and vines that hung down like ropes. The air smelled like wet leaves and old metal. Somewhere nearby, something growled low and deep. They were not supposed to be here. The mission was simple at first. Rescue the missing researchers, get them back to the ship, and leave before the enemy noticed. But everything changed when the Scarrow appeared. The Scarrow were bigger than any human, with black armor plates that grew from their skin. Their eyes glowed yellow in the night. They moved through the jungle like shadows, almost impossible to see until they were too close. Now, Megan and her team were running, trying to get out before the Scarrow caught up. She could hear her own heartbeat in her ears, fast and loud. She knew the others were scared, but she had to stay calm. She was the leader. If she lost control, everyone would die. Suddenly, the cum in her ear buzzed. "They're coming up on." "All right," Nick whispered. Megan nodded. She signaled for the team to stop and crouch behind a fallen tree. She looked through her night vision goggles and saw 3 Scarrow moving through the mist. They moved on all fours, like big hunting cats, but they were smarter than any animal Megan had ever seen. Megan pressed her body close to the ground, hoping the thick plants would hide her. The Scarrows stopped just a few meters away. She could see the sharp claws on their hands, dripping with something dark and oily. The leader of the Scarrow, Garash, stood tall above the others. He wore a belt of strange tools and a mask that covered the lower half of his face. Megan could see his eyes shining in the dark, searching for any sign of movement. The team waited, not even breathing. One of the Scarrows sniffed the air and hissed, "They are here. I smell the fear." The other Scarrow grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. Megan held her knife tight in her hand, ready to fight if she had to. Then a shot rang out. Ben fired his rifle at the nearest Scarrow. The jungle exploded in noise. Megan shouted, "Run!" The team jumped up and ran in different directions, trying to confuse the Scarrow. Megan stayed behind, firing her gun to cover her team's retreat. She saw Nick and Laura disappear into the trees. Ben followed a second later. Megan was alone. The Scarrow turned toward her. Garash barked an order, and the others spread out to block her escape. Megan ducked behind a thick root and shot at them, but the bullets bounced off their armor. One Scarrow threw a spear at her. It hit her shoulder, and pain shot through her arm. She bit her lip, refusing to cry out. She pulled the spear free and threw it back at the Scarrow, hitting one in the leg. Garash moved closer. He spoke in his own language, then switched to broken English. "Human, why fight? You are alone. Your team has left you. You will die." Megan gritted her teeth. "You talk too much," she said, trying to sound brave. Blood ran down her arm, but she kept her eyes on Garash. The Scarrow moved in. Megan rolled to the side as one swung a heavy claw at her. The blow missed her by inches, but smashed the tree root to splinters. She crawled through the mud, trying to get behind a rock. Another Scarrow grabbed her leg and pulled her back. Megan kicked at its face, breaking its nose. The alien howled and let go. Megan stood up, swaying on her feet. She felt dizzy. Her arm burned where the spear had hit her. She saw the jungle spinning around her, but she would not let them see her fear. Garash stepped forward and hit her hard, across the chest with his armored arm. The blow knocked the wind out of her, and she crashed to the ground. She lay there, gasping for air, the world blurry and far away. The Scarrow circled her, poking her with the end of a spear. One leaned down and sniffed her face. "She is dead," said one Scarrow in their own language. Garash stared at her. Then shrugged. She was not much of a challenge. The Scarrow began to talk among themselves, sure that Megan was finished. Megan heard their words, muffled through the pain and ringing in her ears. She tried to move, but her body felt heavy. She remembered her father's voice, years ago, teaching her how to get up after falling. "Never let the world keep you down," he had said. "Get up. Always get up." Megan's fingers curled around her knife. She could hear her heart beating, slow and steady now. She forced herself to breathe, slow and deep. The Scarrow were laughing, their guard dropping. Garash turned away, talking to the others. Megan waited, counting the seconds. She listened to the Scarrow. They were relaxed now, thinking she was dead. One Scarrow walked over, reaching down to pull her up by the arm. As soon as it touched her, Megan moved. She drove her knife into the soft part of the alien's wrist, then twisted, making the Scarrow drop its weapon. The other Scarrow shouted and rushed toward her. Megan rode away, grabbing the fallen weapon. She slashed at the nearest alien, catching it across the thigh. Blood sprayed across the leaves. Megan ducked under a swinging arm and scrambled behind a tree. Her mind raced. She needed a plan. She was outnumbered, outgunned, and hurt, but she still had a chance. She would not let them win. She had to buy her team time to get away. She tore a piece of cloth from her shirt and wrapped it around her bleeding arm. The pain was sharp, but it made her feel alive. She looked around for anything she could use. There was a sharp rock, some tangled vines, and the heavy spear she had taken. It was not much, but it was enough. Megan hid in the roots, watching as the Scarrow searched for her. She stayed still, barely breathing. The jungle was her friend now. She blended in with the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Scarrow grew angry, their pride hurt by the small human who would not die. Garash shouted at his warriors to find her. Megan smiled to herself. If they wanted a fight, she would give them one. She listened to the sounds of the jungle. Birds screamed in the distance. The wind rustled the leaves. Somewhere far away, Megan thought she heard the faint sound of Nick calling her name on the come. She could not answer now. She had work to do. Megan gripped her knife tighter. She remembered every lesson, every run in the rain, every long night in training. She remembered her promise to her father to never give up no matter how bad things looked.